think, but hey,
There's no logical explanation why they walk in slow motion in space. It's not underwater.
Yeah, I know. I mean, where's the resistance coming from? There's no atmosphere. There's very little gravity. So what is the resistance that's slowing their movements? What
makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense. But,
until you saw 2001.
I mean, I'm not a physicist or whatever. So maybe there's some logical scientific explanation for it, but not that I've seen or heard. It just seems to be just accepted that that's the way it should be.
I know. Hey, are you familiar with the whole story about how they beamed the signals to Australia first and then to the United States?
Yeah.
Do you know about the Coke bottle?
Which is pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable technology for the 60s, really. We could beam a live TV signal 250,000 miles back home, without a glitch. That's, I can't even, I can't even hold a cell phone call nowadays to somebody around the block. But, in those days they had much better technology, apparently. So, but yeah, it was the Coke bottle. It rings a bell. Yeah, I mean, wasn't it like some of the people who saw the original footage said that a Coke bottle rolled across?
That they kicked the Coke bottle
in the footage or something.
Yeah, I was watching it today, and there seems to be quite a few people that saw it. So who knows, right? Who knows, man?
There's no actual footage of it, right? It's just the people who say that before it was, whatever they did to it, before they transferred the signal or whatever, that in the original footage there was a Coke bottle. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that basically? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So it's hard to say. I mean, I don't. Without personally interviewing the witnesses and seeing just what kind of people, if they're still even alive. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it's possible that they did, and I don't know. Maybe Coke was already established on the moon.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
They've got some marketing savvy. They're all over the world. So why not conquer the moon, right?
Yeah, I know. Oh, hey, what about you must have seen the movie Capricorn 1, right?
With OJ?
Yeah.
Where it's been a long time. That's where they fake a mission to Mars. Is that what it is?
It was supposed to be the moon, but they changed it to Mars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the movie they changed it to Mars, and but that's the same. It's the same story, Yeah,
isn't it? There's also a scene in one of the James Bond films. Is that a sequence where they chase the guy through a set where they're filming a fake moonwalk or something like that? Which,
yes, in Diamonds Are Forever. Okay.
Is that where it is?
Yeah,
that's another one that people have pointed out as being, a tip of the hat to the, basically the powers that be saying, yeah, we faked it, so what? What are you going to do about it?
Wait a second. Right, and that's funny, too, because when James Bond, Sean Connery is, when he's making his escape through this lunar set, the astronauts are trying to stop him, but they're going in slow motion while he's going at normal speed.
That one I've never actually seen. I'm not a huge James Bond fan, but I'd probably watch it sometime just for that scene. Is it the beginning of the movie?
I don't know. I just caught it on YouTube today when I was watching all the videos about but it is hysterical with the because it's an Area 51. Obviously, they talk about a base in the middle of Nevada, and the astronauts were here in Las Vegas. They were here. They were at UNLV. They were here for a long time. So there's definitely possibilities that this was filmed in Nevada at Area 51.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, where do you think it was actually filmed at? I'm like, who knows? I mean, it's could be any nondescript remote location. I mean, there's plenty to choose from. Who knows? But that's certainly one possibility that's been mentioned frequently is that it was filmed on or around Area 51, which is obviously a very tightly controlled base where not likely that any prying eyes would see what was going on. So, definitely a possibility.
Yeah, especially at the time, because no one knew about Area 51 back in those days. And it would be inconceivable to even drive out there or travel out in that direction. There would be just no reason to, yeah.
So, yeah, it's quite possible.
So now, one thing, though, that the skeptics to this topic they always bring up is that laser thing. That they said, well, no, we know it's there because you can go to Texas, and they do it all the time. They shoot this laser against this reflector they left on the moon, and it comes back. And even these astronauts bring it up all the time, too. So what do you think about that?
Well, there's several possibilities. There were reports out even before the Apollo landings that they were doing these same types of things with no devices on the moon. That the surface of the moon itself was reflective enough that they could do what they're doing, which is basically like get a precise measurement, I believe it is, from here to the moon based on how much time the signal takes to bounce back or whatever it is. So, one possibility is that there never have been any reflectors there, and they're just bouncing off of, various natural features of the surface of the moon itself. Another possibility is that they were placed there remotely by unmanned craft. Russia claimed to have placed several of them robotically back in that era. So, it's possible that because I've never said that unmanned craft can't get to the moon. I just don't think that it's within that it's humanly possible to get there, but certainly probably possible to get spacecraft there. So they could have been placed robotically. So that's another possibility. I question whether that we even had the technology to do that back in those days. I mean, these are tiny little targets, like the size of like a computer monitor or something,
right?
That were placed 250,000 miles away. I don't know if people really understand how, what kind of distance that is that we're talking between here and the moon. And if you're a photographer, if you've ever used a really long telephoto lens, or if you're a hunter that's used a scope, that even from relatively short distances, even a tiny little bit of motion will completely throw off, what you're viewing. It doesn't take much at all, and the farther away it is, of course, the more that's amplified. And I really find it very hard to believe that in the 1960s we had lasers or whatever that were accurate enough and stationary enough that could be, kept still enough, basically, to focus on a target that tiny, that far away. That just seems, I don't know. It just seems very, very hard for me to believe. So I'm inclined to believe that they're just basically bouncing it off of the surface of the moon itself, because I don't know that we have that. That would require a degree of accuracy that's just pretty astonishing, really.
Yeah, because back then we didn't even have fax machines, we didn't have email, we didn't have cordless drills. People, the kids today don't understand that. If I try to tell my kid that, she doesn't understand.
A pocket calculator that just like added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided was, a valuable commodity. It's just, people, the technology. We had big, heavy rotary telephones.
Yeah, my dad was an accountant. He had an adding machine. That was this big. It was on a stand. This big giant thing. The size of I can't even think what, like a vacuum cleaner. We had TVs with 13 channels and no remote control. Right. There was no remote control back in those days.
And no VCRs, let alone DVRs. The technology back then, it was. It was like the Dark Ages compared to now. And you see how quickly this technology accelerates, once something's been developed, I mean, we went from cell phones to these incredibly, these big clunky original, mobile car phones to these, smartphones now that just are just amazing. I mean, just technological marvels, right? That not only serve as a phone, but as, anything else you want it to be, an adding machine, a still camera, a video camera, a TV, a radio, I mean, just infinite. It serves infinite functions now. And, I mean, it hasn't taken that long to travel that arc, So, I mean, in the realm of space travel, you look at, the Apollo and 45 years have passed, and I mean, we should have technology that should make it just a piece of cake to get to the moon and back.
Yeah, but
nowadays, I mean, it should be something that consumer that just rank and file people could do. I mean, they say that they've said that over the years, they were saying way back in like the 80s that the onboard computers on the Apollo flights had less computing power than a Sony Walkman,
Right.
And a Sony Walkman has like a millionth, the computing power of the phone that I'm holding in my hand right now, So I'm holding more technology in my hand by far than what supposedly sent our astronauts successfully all the way to the moon and back multiple times. So yeah, I mean, it just doesn't add up. It really the whole thing just doesn't really seem to add up.
Yeah, even the space shuttle with all its boosters and all that stuff. I got feedback. Who am I getting that from? You, Dave? Okay.
I don't know, you were cutting out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I was getting some feedback. Okay, even the space shuttle with all its boosters and all its rockets and stuff like that has never gotten higher than 400 miles.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, right, is what a huge leap it is from what we do now to what we supposedly did in the 60s. People look and say, well, what's the big deal? We put people into orbit. We can put we have a fully functional space station. We have the Hubble telescope. We have, the space shuttle. Well, we did have the space shuttle programs, and what's the big deal? What's the big difference between that and going to the moon? Well, it's a huge difference because none of those things have ever gone more than like 300 or 400 miles from the surface of the Earth. None of them. Not the Hubble telescope, not the space station, none of the space shuttles. They've never left low Earth orbit.
And they have a huge failure rate, too, as well.
And they have a huge failure rate just doing that. Right. Exactly. Okay, and yet the Apollo flight supposedly went all the way to the moon and back, 250,000 miles,
And a little tin can.
So yeah, on one tank of gas. So, to say, well, what's the big deal if we can launch space shuttles and this and blah, 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 why couldn't we send them into the moon? It's like saying, if I can walk around the block, why can't I walk around the world?
Right.
I mean, it's literally it's exponentially more difficult than anything that we've done since. By far. I mean, just by leaps and bounds. Nothing we have done comes anywhere close, technologically speaking, to what we accomplished in 1969.
Amazing. Okay, we have a hard break coming up now. We have a nice 5-minute commercial. We'll be right back with more with Dave MdGowan, author of Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, Understanding the F Word, and Program to Kill. But we'll be right back after this break.
If you're looking for essential oils, stop by and check out Essentially Tammy on Facebook. She is Young Living Essential Oils Independent Distributor. These 100% therapeutic grade oils help support the body's natural functions. You can click on her website posted on Essentially Tammy, that's T-A-M-I, to see the current deals and check out the benefits of oils such as frankincense, joy, valor, lemon, thieves, panaway, and many more. Email Jocotami, that's JOCATAMI, @yahoo.com, or call 352-2